All right. We are now being joined by Brigadier Sanjay Agarwal, who's a former security advisor, Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. Brigadier, thank you so much for joining me here on WION World is One. Sir, the breaking that we just had for you, there are 5 terrorists who, I mean, it's confirmed news now, apart from the final figure, which will come out once Operation Sindoor concludes. As of now, it is still on. But there is no doubt, do you feel Pakistan can still go ahead and say that they have no links to these terror outfits, as the visuals are clearly indicating the man standing behind those coffins is a known terrorist. He's surrounded by Pakistan army officials in uniform, state honors being given to these terrorists in those coffins?
So, Shivan, there is no element of doubt even in the skeptical, doubting Thomas's minds with these visuals going viral across the world. It is a different matter that various countries and news portals will play it down and not show this open state sponsorship support for terrorism, terrorists, and their coffins being draped in national flags with uniformed Pakistan army and police people there on ground to bid them there on their last journey. Undoubtedly, on the narrative front, this is clearly the last nail in their coffin, notwithstanding whatever their information minister, the fairy tales that he has been trying to tell the world.
Brigadier Agarwal, you mentioned it absolutely precisely and correctly. There is no iota of doubt left anymore. India has known this all throughout. It's for the world to see what India has been saying for so many decades already. I also wanted to come to you on the nuclear saber rattling that Pakistan resorts to, which is a very regular part of their playbook. Earlier, analysts that we were speaking with said that Pakistan resorts to this kind of saber rattling when they want the international community to intervene and get the two sides to resolve and come to the negotiating table. Here, at this point, is there any method you feel that Pakistan, do you think that is what it is attempting once again, and is there any way of denuclearizing this nation which resorts to nuclear saber rattling at the earliest?
So, Shivan, this is a good question. And the first part I had touched upon the last time I was in WION 2 days ago, the fact of the nuclear saber rattling and the financial begging bowl aspects. Now your question about, can we denuclearize Pakistan? So understand, dear viewers, that nuclear capability is fundamentally a weapon of deterrence, not a weapon for actual use in war. Unless, of course, faced with an existential threat. And it is this last part that Pakistan wants to play up because of the asymmetry in conventional warfare on the escalation ladder. Fundamentally, nuclear weapons are for avoiding a war. But the way I see it, Pakistan projects a deliberately casual and irresponsible behavior on their nuclear capability. This is risk-prone and accident-prone. And therefore, at some stage, we have to understand that the danger of their falling into rogue hands. So how to denuclearize Pakistan? Is it possible? Yes. How? 2 ways. 1, remember what Israel does with nuclear-capable Iran, and Iran which is on the cusp of nuclear weapon capability also? Israel uses direct kinetic means to neutralize nuclear infrastructure, assets, hardware, software, skinware. All nuclear scientists, 11 of them targeted. You would remember those, it was much in the news. So that's one model, but I would keep that as the last option because it is unsavory. It sets a bad global precedent. So what is the other? The other is the moment the big people in the world, primarily America and China in this case, realize the irresponsible rogue danger of nuclear weapons in rogue hands, then the option is either to put these weapons under strict, regular, permanent international scrutiny, or offer Pakistan to denuclearize Remember, viewers, a precedent exists. Remember, Ukraine in the early 1990s had about almost 3,000 nukes, 2,900 if I remember correctly. And with a package of economic and financial and recurring incentives, they were incentivized to denuclearize. Similarly, Pakistan can be given an option once at the P5 level in the United Nations Security Council. Primarily America and China agree, the rest will, and then they tell Pakistan, there is a disincentive, you will not get IMF loans, you will not get funding from Saudi and China if you don't denuclearize.
Understood.
If you do denuclearize, you'll get a carrot. And therefore, hopefully, Pakistan will choose existence over anarchy and chaos, and therefore that will happen.
Brigadier,
so this is the way, in my opinion, to denuclearize Pakistan. Two options.
Understood, sir. You've broken that down for our viewers very beautifully, sir. You mentioned the IMF, you mentioned America, you mentioned China. Let me from that come to my next question, the role that the international community can play, whether it's America, whether it's the UN. Let me start with the US. First, the US president says he condemned the Pahalgam terror attack very strongly. He says he offers to mediate. Then you have the vice president saying that it is none of America's business. Then you have the state secretary saying that we are willing to mediate. And then you have the IMF offering that $1 billion to Pakistan. And all of this has happened pretty much in the last 48 hours. So what US really stands for, that is essentially part of my question. And also, what role can the UN play or any other international player, what role can they play here in this conflict?
So the developments in the last 48 hours need to be seen as strategic messaging to the decision makers in Pakistan. Earlier, when they said, and finally when they said it's India will handle it, it's not our problem, they are fundamentally telling Pakistan that when you go up the escalation ladder and you want to go nuclear, India will sort you out in the second strike capability. Maybe that will happen before. And please remember, the second strike can happen before the first strike happens, technically speaking. The moment we know irrevocably they are going to launch, we can neutralize them. So one part is the strategic messaging from America with these changing statements to Pakistan to not look over their shoulders as a break from the pattern in the past in the Biden era. Now coming to the UN question. All of us remember that China is a part of the permanent five at the UN Security Council. What many of us tend to forget is that Pakistan is also now a part of the 10 non-permanent UN Security Council members for 2 years starting this January, which means they are a member till December 2026, which is why you got such a weak resolution condemning about the Pahalgam massacre, because the option then was that they have to have a consensus. So if you make a strong resolution, there will be no consensus. So the option is have a weak resolution or have no resolution. So this factor of Pakistan being till December 2026 a non-permanent member of the 10 countries in the UNSC ensures that UN cannot take a strong stand. This is important to understand. There will be no UN resolutions condemning terror the way we would like to see them. The lowest common multiple would ensure that Pakistan takes full use of its seat there presently.
Understood.
And as it is, UN being fairly toothless requires serious revamp, and that's an old argument that India has been strongly advocating.
Brigadier Agarwal, you've really broken that down for all our viewers, because it can get quite complicated for a regular viewer to understand how the UNSC really works and why they really bowed down to Pakistan's demands of removing the name of TRF from that resolution which came out, TRF from the Lashkar-e-Toiba, which carried out that deadly terror attack. I wanted to just come to the other step that India took, the Indus Waters Treaty that happened in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. How effective do you think it really is on the ground level here? Because we've heard of how how the gates in the Salar Dam and the Paglihar Dam are suddenly opened and then they're shut. What essentially is happening there on ground, in your understanding?
Okay, so just as a matter of interest, decades ago, I was the commander sitting on the Paglihar Dam. Just as a matter of interest, decades ago.
No, would love to
But
hear
apart
from you
from that, the actual impact, we are talking of water. I want to talk of the Kharif crop. As non-urban people will know, but the urbanites may not remember that the Kharif crop is what is now between now and November. And because it's monsoon in the subcontinent, this is a water-intensive crop. And then from November till April is the Rabi crop. So now for the Kharif crop, of which both rice and cotton are part, they are going to get affected. Both water-intensive crops. And rice and cotton, ladies and gentlemen, constitute 63% of Pakistan's exports. So, when India holds water, throws water. And let me tell you the facts. 6th of May this year, the water level in Pakistan was 43% less than last year. And suddenly 2 days later, that is day before yesterday, 8th of May, India more than doubled the water. This is Pakistan statistics, publicly available Pakistan statistics. That India doubled the water, creating now flood-like situation. Earlier it was drought-like. So this alternating flood and drought, big problem. Psychologically and physically, the Kharif crop getting badly affected. Also, therefore, internal food crisis, drastic drop in exports, forex earnings becoming low, the balance of payment situation worsening, the fiscal deficit widening, inflation becoming increasingly rampant, and therefore the social unrest increasing even further. Remember, there's major social unrest because of what the Baluch Liberation Army and the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are doing in Baluchistan, KPK, and in Gilgit-Baltistan.
Yes, sir.
So all in all, Pakistan is in between the devil and the deep sea because of all this. And finally, with all this, remember that I just give you the background of the IWT. The whole thing is for the 6 rivers which constitute this system, the Indus, Jhelum and Chenab in the north. 80% of that water goes to Pakistan, 20% we can use run of the flow and generate electricity and etc. And the bottom 3 rivers, the Ravi, Beas and Satluj, we are supposed to use, and it is sad that for the last 60 years, remember that the Indus Water Treaty was signed in 1960,
yes, sir,
after being negotiated for 9 years. Yet India did not build capability to divert its own lawful water, and it was going to add prosperity to Pakistan for the last 65 years. We have in the last 10 years developed some capability to divert this water. Details are available. The point here is that this capability is both physical, yes, and psychological. It's a serious issue, and there are many more wheels within the wheels for this. For example, right on top where the Chenab enters Pakistan, they have the Marala headworks.
Sure.
And down south near Muridke, they have the Hussainiwala headworks. Very wisely, Pakistan has made a series of interconnecting channels and canals. Now, if we choke the Chenab, or if we play with the water supply, the entire irrigation of Pakistan and a small desert that they have called Cholistan goes for a 6. Serious issues both physically, psychologically.
Brigadier, you've broken that down beautifully for us, and for sharing something so close to you, as you've commanded that region at a certain number of years ago. Who better to understand and explain this than you? That was Brigadier Agarwal joining me here on the broadcast. A pleasure speaking with you, sir. It was an education understanding from you how this works, and would love to have you on the broadcast again.
Thank you. Good day to you and to all your viewers. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.